So once upon a time, on a hot, humid day in Minneapolis, I, a normally harried, anxious mom of a 3- and 6-year-old, took my 2 kids to Target for a Target run. We had an agreement that they could go to the toy aisle and pick up 1 toy at a time. They could hold it, observe it, shake it, not damage the package, and then they could put it away and pick up another toy. And this was all with the understanding that we would not be bringing any toys home. For some reason, I, the normally anxious, driven mother that I was having a calm day. For some reason, on that day, we didn't have any place to rush off to. I allowed the toy selection to go on, and they were having so much fun. As we made our way to the checkout, a young woman stopped me and asked me if I would like to have the kids' portraits taken at Target. Did I mention it was a hot and humid day and they were kind of sweaty and dirty? And I pointed this out to the woman, that we have these, and she said, oh, we have these little black capes and you won't be able to see the clothing. And I looked at them over, and there were no black eyes, there were no scabs, there was no fat lips, no obvious healing wounds on their faces. And I asked the kids if they were game, and I got a big yes. And so off we went to take their pictures. And these were the results. And what I can hold in my hand is the memory of that joy and delight. And I just need to remember to make room for it.
Let's do it without the glasses.
Danger. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed days, the dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than you'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
guess I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
So, E.B. White tells us it's hard to know when to respond to the seductiveness of the world and when to respond to its challenges. If the world were merely seductive, that would be easy. If it were merely challenging, that would be no problem. But I arise in the morning torn between the desire to improve the world and the desire to enjoy the world. This makes it hard for me to plan the day. But we do plan our days. So we can choose to savor the world, to find delight in it, even if we also choose to save it. Some choices are simple, particularly those we make in the summer for some reason. Take the simple delight of watering the garden. My mother told me not to, but I always spray water on the tomato leaves to steam out their special incense. Like ground coffee, sometimes tomatoes smell even better than they taste. Or take the delight of school vacation, that adolescent space of possibilities with no real demands. This delight peaks in anticipation and then mysteriously shrinks just enough to make space for school again in September. I still enjoy this delight vicariously through my children. Or take the very simplest choice summer offers, stone fruit. Only J. Alfred Prufrock made this a hard choice, asking, do I dare to eat a peach? We don't need to let T.S. Eliot drag us through the horrors of modernity to say yes. Delight is almost intrinsically a small thing. The very name contains lightness. But welcoming delight opens space for delight's more substantial cousins, joy and happiness. And all of them give us the resilience to suffer the world and to save it. Poet Ross Gay tells us that welcoming delight is necessary to a full life. His Book of Delights contains a year of daily short essays on the small joys that he deliberately set out to notice. He looked for and found delight in kindness, his garden, pop music, books, bees, sunlight, dreams, and the bare fact of his birth. Delight is a matter of attention and awareness. We experience it when we're mindful of it, and that choice can change our life. Ross Gay reports, it didn't take me long to learn that the discipline or practice of writing these essays occasioned a kind of delight radar. Or maybe it was more like the development of a delight muscle. Something that implies that the more you study delight, the more delight there is to study. I felt my life to be more full of delight, not without sorrow or fear or pain or loss, but more full of delight. So we don't expect delight to end suffering. In fact, Gay tells us that adult joy knows that suffering and loss always live close by life and love. Suffering brings what is good and joyful all the more into relief. Tovis's favorite podcaster, Krista Tippett, tells us that delight should not be seen as an evasion of the world's sorrows or a privilege of the fortunate. She says joy in human life is a resilience-making, life-giving birthright of being human, a companion to hope. And she says to suggest that you can't be joyful in a time like this is akin to the idea that you can't be hopeful unless everything has gone right for you. So finding delight is especially important when things are not going right. Now, unlike work or consumption, delight is not and cannot be a headlong pursuit. Hermann Hesse told us a century ago that the perpetual search for enjoyment, the quest to consume entertainment, actually robs us of joy. He said our ways of enjoying ourselves are hardly less irritating and nerve-wracking than the pressure of our work. As much as possible, as fast as possible, is the motto. And so there's more and more entertainment and less joy. Hesse tells us that many have lost the ability to cherish the little joy, which he says is intimately connected with the habit of moderation. Hesse goes on, these little joys are so inconspicuous and scattered so liberally throughout our daily lives that the dull minds of countless workers hardly notice them. They are not outstanding, they are not advertised, and they cost no money. Now, we probably don't need to join Hesse in his elitist condemnation of the dull minds of countless workers. But we can agree that because we don't consume delight, it never runs out. Indeed, Ross Gay tells us that, I also learned this year that my delight grows, much like love and joy, when I share it. So delight shared is delight amplified. And one of life's great shared delights is simply connecting with strangers. Ross Gay finds delight in simple kindness to a harried grocery checker. And I recall my father used to drive 20 miles to town to buy some nails he didn't need just for the pleasure of talking to strangers at the hardware store. And eventually they weren't strangers. Finding delight in the happiness of others, vicarious joy, is perhaps the ultimate in shared delight. Anyone with children knows that. Paula told us that. Buddhists identify this sympathetic joy, called mudita in Sanskrit, as one of the four sublime states, the others being loving kindness, compassion, and equanimity. Delight in others' happiness calls on and calls forth some appreciation of the good and humanity in them. So mudita is foundational for both kindness and compassion. Sometimes this appreciation is difficult. How can we read the paper without resentment at what some folks see as their political triumphs, or without schadenfreude at what they see as their failures? Sam Wolf points out that if it's difficult to extend sympathy toward those we dislike, it helps to remember that we find joy in their well-being, not their misdeeds or the fruits of their misdeeds. So the Buddhist scholar Nyaya tells us, when unselfish joy grows, many noxious weeds in the human heart will die a natural death, especially mudita's opposites, jealousy, envy, resentment, schadenfreude. Infectious happiness comes more easily to children who haven't yet acquired a herd immunity. And mudita is certainly easier for all of us when its object is the happiness of children. Even before I was a parent, I was infected by the joy of playground noise, that sympathetic resonance of children's own delight, a noise all the more joyous for its lack of intelligibility. Sometimes we appreciate the music without needing the words. Sympathetic delight becomes harder when all we have are words, especially the words we read in the paper. But we can remind ourselves that adults, even adults who make mistakes, are also worthy of our love and compassion. So we start with children, we work our way toward adults, and then finally politicians. Yeah. What is the solution to E.B. White's dilemma as to whether to respond to the world's challenges or succumb to its seductions? Richard Gilbert answers White in his poem, To Savor the World or Save It, offering three rhetorical questions. To save, one must serve. To savor, one must save. The one will not stand without the other. So yes, we seek to save the world and to savor it. Both are required. Delight gives us the reason and the resilience to face suffering and to act. So wherever and however you do it, choose to find delight. Make space for it. It'll fill you up.
summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich, and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing, and you'll spread your wings and take to the sky. Till that morning, ain't nothing can harm you, with daddy and mommy standing by. So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
Okay, please join me now as we extinguish our chalice.